What's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06, featuring that next mod. And today we are going to be wrapping up the remaining regular season games that we have here in the FCS Dynasty. Got a few games on tap for you, as we will also see on top of that, we will see the conference championship games on top of teams that have already clinched a conference championship and therefore a trip to the FCS playoffs. So guys, we're gonna have a fun episode here today, not as long as most of my other FCS videos. So make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new. And let's go ahead and hop right into it. First game of the day, we got Rhode Island taking on a 1-8 Morgan State squad. And you know, they're trying to play for Coach Kirby, man. They are trying to make sure that he does not get fired at Morgan State. And that is a good way to protect your coach. Run it into the end zone. 94-yard touchdown to start the game. That's how you want to start. But what really has hurt Morgan State is a lack of kicker. Check how far this kick goes. It does not go very far at all. They only get to the 25-yard line, but at least that time it works. So we get a forced fumble on the play, and so we do see the Morgan State Bears get off to a hot start. And now we'll go ahead and try to see if Rhode Island can do anything, but Andy Pollock is gonna mess him up in the backfield. And here we go, 7-0 game here for the Morgan State Bears. We're going to take a look at Michael Nash now, facing some pressure. He's also going to take a sack, as he is going to eventually be crumbled at the line of scrimmage. Nash really had to go up and grab that football for sure. And now it's a 7-0 lead, as Rhode Island is trying to get their first points on the board. They are a run-heavy football team, but Morgan State, got to give them credit. They're doing a great job of containing the run so far, forcing Rhode Island to at least be a little bit different in how they attack. And they get to the quarterback once again, trying to go max protection. How about 93 breaking up a double team? That's one heck of a play there. And Rhode Island's going to have to be forced to punt this football away back into the hands of the Morgan State Bears. This special teams unit has already created a touchdown. This is their kicker that they use. He can not only kick the football decent, but he can also run it into the end zone. Touchdown, Morgan State. And the Bears make it a 14-0 game. Later on in the first half, we got 1:15 left to play. Nash dropping back, is going to look over the middle of the field. He's going to throw it up, and his guy is going to come down and make the catch just outside of the red zone. How about 82, Daniel Hudson, coming back and making a play for your quarterback. And it sets up a goal line situation. Fullback is going to get involved, and they are out Rhode Island, as we got our first rushing touchdown of the day. Morgan State looking great here in the first half, up 21-0. But we'll see if Rhode Island can do anything before going to the halftime locker room. 20 seconds left to play. Trying to throw across the body, and I don't know how you got that to go through, but yet they somehow do. This was a very tight window. Morgan State, they're not very good on defense. That's why they're 1-8. And now Rhode Island's putting together a drive. Next play. Looks over the middle, but it's going to be intercepted. Unwise decision there by CJ Swick, who's just having a rough start to the day. 2 for 6. 36 yards and an interception as well, and just threw it right into his hands. So now Morgan State gets a chance to put points on the board. This will probably be one of the last plays, and trying to go deep, but because he was hit as he threw the football, that is going to also be picked off, and that will put an end to the first half. Solid first half though for Morgan State. You're up 21-0. And you get this ball to start the second half as well. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. We'll see if they can keep that going, as their kicker turned running back Scott Thompson able to drop that right in the bucket. First down for Morgan State, and the Bears are on a drive. Next play, Thompson looks over the right hand side. He finds his tailback again. He's going to put a little juke move on. He's actually in open field. And oh, he cannot get away from that final defender though. Heck of a play. He had to reach down and grab that football. It was not a great ball thrown by Scott Thompson, but it does enough to move the sticks. And now deep in Rhode Island territory, Thompson's actually going to try to run for it. Don't know if that was a quarterback draw or what was the plan was, but Rhode Island, that defensive line, they're going to end up winning this rep. And yeah, it looks like that was a designed quarterback draw there. But now, a few plays later, we go third down. Only need to pick up a couple of yards. We'll see if they can pick it up. They go back to the play action game. Thompson facing some pressure and is going to be sacked once again. Thompson absolutely getting lit up like a Christmas tree. That actually does take him outside of field goal range. So they had to go ahead, punt the football away, and Rhode Island will take over at about the 20-yard line initially. And we'll see if Rhode Island can get points on board. They got a third and long from the 29-yard line. Seawicks needs a play. He's going to throw to the right-hand side and gets it right downfield. First down for Rhode Island as Seawick threw that up into double coverage and still found a way to make the catch. The drive will end up stalling, but with that being said, it's still, a nice little play there for Seawick. As we'll hop into the fourth quarter now, and we'll see Morgan State's offense take over. Really in prime form today. Not really expecting. I thought this game would be a competitive game, to be honest, and that has not been the case. Morgan State just really opening things up here in this ball game. We're now talking about a 28-0 lead here in the fourth quarter, as Deon Kirby's squad is well on their way to winning their second game of the season. Next drive, Thompson looks to the right-hand side, gets out to the receiver. He's going to take it down the sideline. No one left to catch him, and he's going to be in the end zone. Touchdown, Morgan State. Thompson with yet another touchdown pass in this football game, and Morgan State, they will go ahead and secure their second win in the season. And we'll see if that will be enough to save Coach Kirby's job. They will have one more game to play, and that will be shown later on in this episode. The first time that we featured any team twice in one video. So if you're Coach Kirby, that custom coach, you're feeling pretty good about that. But now we'll go to the teams that are competing for FCS playoff spots. We got Northwestern State and Towson going up against each other. Two teams that are both ranked, in that, high 30s, low 40s. They're going to need some things to happen in front of them, but they're still in the thick of things. It's not out of a question for either of them to make the playoffs. But how about the fall off for Northwestern State, though? It seemed like they were a lock. At one point, they were ranked in the top 10 in the entire country, and now in serious danger of missing the playoffs. They badly need this win, and regardless of who wins this game, they're going to likely need to win in dramatic fashion, get some style points, because that will help with the AP voters for one of those at-large spots. None of them competing for a conference championship. As we'll go ahead and check out Towson here, and look at this, their tight end, their star tight end, who was featured in the episode and in the thumbnail, wide butt naked open. And how about a first drive for the Towson Tigers? Northwestern State, they bit on the goal line defense, thought it was going to be a run, and it was not that. It was definitely not that. And it's a touchdown for Towson. And we don't get to see Towson very often, but when we see them in gameplay, they look like a machine, man. I remember back in season number 2 when we got to watch them against Georgia Southern. They blew them out, and now it looks like Towson is doing the same thing against an SEC opponent. You want to talk about SEC bias, maybe we're seeing a little something right here. As we'll drop back the pass, we're going to left-hand side, just throwing it up for his receiver, utilizing the body, and that is going to be a touchdown. The Demons just don't have an answer right now for this passing attack. They were not ready for the quality of quarterback play that comes from Towson. Like I said, a team that has flown under the radar. Definitely rooting for them to do some things here, as Matt Lewis, he's going to take a sack here as well, trying to get his offense going. But just no cigars there. And Towson continues its relentless push as he throws to his star tight end once again. It's going to go into the end zone, and it's yet another touchdown here. Towson is going to go ahead. They're going to take a 21-0 lead, and we barely got started with the second quarter. It's been a surprising blowout. And now Northwestern, they're trying to desperately respond, but again, Matt Lewis just doesn't have the time in the pocket. Adam Daniels, he's going to blow up this quarterback in the backfield, and it's going to be a 3-and-out again. So here comes the Towson offense, but that might be a change of fortunes there. Northwestern State is going to be able to get the interception. 1st and 10 from the 23-yard line. We'll see if the Demons can finally do something. They desperately needed a play, and they're going to get one. Unfortunately, though, not only do they not score a touchdown, they do also miss the field goal. So even with the great field position, they do end up going ahead and still are being shut out right now and are just being completely dominated right now. As now, 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line. Got a clean pocket. Looks over the middle of the field. Finds another crosser. Robert Carter, man, let me tell you what. He is having himself a day right now. He is absolutely slinging that football. As now, Lewis looks to the right-hand side. He's going to go ahead. He's going to be intercepted by the Towson defense. And it was really bad at first. It just got worse, and this home crowd is absolutely stunned. I cannot believe what is happening to Northwestern State right now. Now, granted, they do have Bo Arias suspended. That is a thing that did end up happening, but at the same time, though, you would think that it wouldn't be that much of a drop-off, but here we are, barbecue on the titties, being blown out by a underrated team from Conference USA. Oh, how the mighty have certainly fallen right now. But we'll see if Northwestern State can put together a drive to get points on the board before the end of the first half. As Lewis, he's going to try to throw in the middle. He's picked off once again, and it's going to be the second pick six for Towson. Oh my goodness, 38-0 is going to be your score after we see this extra point. But Matt Lewis trying to set up the play action, the true freshman, trying to get it all back at once. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have actually no idea where that ball was going. That was not it. But we'll jump to the second half, and here's a crazy thing. Towson actually starts with the football to begin the second half. So they got all of this lead to work with, and they have the football too. They can make this a 40-plus point lead before Northwestern State sees the ball again. That is a crazy thing to think about. As now, goal line situation from the 2-yard line. Carter, he's going to give it off to his tailback, who puts it into the end zone. Touchdown, Towson. And a complete shocker here. Towson winning 45-0. And that is exactly the style points that Towson was looking for. Now running a 5-game winning streak, they win this game 59-14. But now we go ahead and watch two other teams that are trying to make their way into the FCS playoffs. Now, for UMass, they come in ranked number 67. That is their listed national ranking. So, FCS playoffs might be out of the question for the UMass Minutemen. But that being said, though, Portland State, they are still in this thing as well. Their national ranks in the 30s. They can sneak up there, get a good win against UMass. Let's see if they can do just that. And they're gonna, if Portland State's gonna have to win this game, Kyle Hardy's gonna have to play a pretty good one, as UMass is gonna start with a little bit of triculation. Oh my goodness, Richard Parsons is gonna make the catch, and I was not expecting UMass to do that. They're usually pretty vanilla on offense. And you know, getting a little bit of creativity in there, you know, throwing Portland State in the loop. And UMass, you know, granted this was scripted plays being called, but they're doing good. They're doing good here on this initial drive, and they're going to be able to punch it into the end zone as well. UMass going to get the opening strike here. Less than 2 minutes played here in this game, and they're going to be able to score first here at PGE Park in Portland, Oregon. Nice job climbing the pocket there as well, finding an open receiver. And now that pressure is going to be applied to starting quarterback Kyle Hardy. He's going to throw to the right-hand side. He's going to find his receiver. He's going to try to take it down the sideline. And he does remain in bounds, but gets to about midfield. A nice play there by Carroll to create some yards after the catch, given that was dumped off to the flats. So now, 1st and 10 from the 50-yard line as Hardy under shotgun. He's got 2 running backs in the backfield. Is it going to be a running play? It's not. It's play action. Max protection as well. And gets it out to his star receiver who puts it in the end zone. Touchdown, Vikings. A 50-yard touchdown pass for Kyle Hardy. And the Portland State Vikings, they will go ahead and they will respond right away. So here we go. 3:38 left to play in this first quarter. We'll see the football being kicked off and thrown to a different direction, as we'll see UMass trying to respond. Are they going to take a lead here? Yes, they will, as that man is going to be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, UMass. And that is also going to be a 94-yard kick return. So Portland State now trailing again, and they're going to need this Viking offense to spark up. They go to the tailback. He's going to fight through 2 defenders and punch it into the end zone himself. How about that for an emphatic answer? Touchdown, Vikings. And it's all knotted up at 14 apiece. We're on the warpath to a shootout. Next drive, UMass cannot score in their next possession, so Portland State with good field position. They move the ball downfield pretty well again, but the running game sells on them a little bit. We got a fumble on the play, and UMass is going to recover it. So UMass now have a chance to retake the lead, but they're going to be intercepted. This could be a pick 6. It will indeed be a pick 6, as well as Justin Thompson. He's going to take it all the way to the crib. His 2nd interception of the season. And at a critical time, that gives Portland State a 21-14 lead. How about that quarterback getting lit up like a Christmas tree because he was considered a defender? You always want to see quarterbacks taking some hits, or trying to get some blocks in as well. As now, 2nd quarter, Kyle Hardy's going to try to throw it over to the right-hand side, and that has been an issue for the freshman quarterback. Throwing it up in traffic, he's been turnover prone over the course of this season, his first year as the starter. Some things that he'll definitely need to work on if he wants to be more successful, but defense is standing up. They are doing the job. Rogers is going to get this interception here, as Portland State, they sent the blitz, but guys in the right place in the right time. So now Portland State's going to take over, but facing a 3rd and long from the 43-yard line. Hardy dropping back, but just runs out of time to work with. That will also be brought down, and that is going to be 4th and 21. So now UMass taking back over a pretty back and forth game. 30 seconds left to play here in the first half. We'll see if UMass just goes ahead and runs out the rest of his clock. It looks like they do decide to do. No, it's a play action. They're going to be aggressive here, throwing it deep downfield. It's going to be caught. A diving grab by Kenneth Brown. That's going to get them inside, deep in Portland State territory. Looks like this is going to be dove at around the 30-yard line, and UMass is going to be able to get a field goal off of that. You love to see it. So pretty solid first half for both teams here, as Kyle Hardy, he really starts to get into his bag here in the second half, starting by just throwing a 66-yard dot into the end zone, finds his receiver Mark Green for the touchdown. That is now 28-17 in favor of the Portland State Vikings. We'll see if the defense can help put this game away as well, though, as UMass tries to run it here on 3rd down. Only needed the 1 yard, but again, Justin Thompson is going to light him up like a Christmas tree. He's having a really great day today. Got the interception, and then he's also got that tackle that effectively ends a drive. So now, Portland State takes back over, gets it out to Ryan Otis, a fellow custom who gets it into the end zone. Touchdown, Portland State. 35-17, gonna be your score now. How about them apples? As Ryan Otis putting the skates on, and it's a first down. As it's an 18-point lead for the Portland State Vikings. UMass desperately looking for a response, but it's going to be intercepted? Are you joking right now? Who is that ball supposed to go to? That is a legitimate question of mine. And it looks like they were trying to go, I don't know if it was for like that sideline pattern, but it was grossly underthrown. And it's going to be a costly mistake as Portland State, they are in their bag right now. Going to try to run through a couple of safeties. And while he can't break those last couple of tackles, the Sherman, he is running like a Sherman tank right now. Good luck stopping him when he's feeling the type of rhythm that he has right now. We'll see if they go back to him. 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. Kyle Hardy under center is going to drop back. He's going to look in the middle of the end zone, and it ends up being caught once again by Ryan Otis. Touchdown, Portland State. This was a 4-point game going to the halftime locker room, but ever since that second half got started, Portland State, they now have 21 unanswered points to their name, and UMass just desperately tried to get really anything going in their direction, but it's just not meant to be. Portland State, they are going to secure a blowout victory in this one. 49-17 is going to be your score at the end of this third quarter after the pick six, and they will march on to win. A little bit of a shootout, 55-31 being your score, but Portland State, they keep their hopes alive for the FCS playoffs. So we do have one more game left in this episode. It's Morgan State taking on Southeast Missouri State. The Red Hawks, they come in number 14 in the nation. It is a game of the week because this game, so there was a week 16 in this regular season. That's what ended up happening. So, you know, we're going to play this game because I'm not going to show a standalone game unless it's for like the opening night, what we saw with the first gameplay episode that we saw in this entire series. So we'll see what Southeast Missouri State's got. If they win this game, they will secure another trip to the FCS playoffs, their second one in the last 2 years. But Morgan State, they're doing a little bit better. They started the year 0-8. They now have won their last couple of games, and now we'll see if they can catch fire and pull off one more incredible upset before we get into this postseason action. Final regular season game, and it's going to be between these two football teams right here. As Morgan State, they're going to try to, get their passing attack going, but Southeast Missouri State, they are absolutely flying all over the field. That is Justin Smith. He's a wide receiver. That's what he's listed at, but he spent some time at defensive back, and it looks pretty surefire on the tackling there. You love to see that from an offensive-minded player. And the big thing for Southeast Missouri State, can they get their offense going? But defensively, Jonathan Silva, he could run on this defense too. 31-yard carry here. He's able to take it down the sideline. Ken Trill will be the one that makes the tackle. But Morgan State seriously in business as Thompson going to try to throw on the right-hand side, but it's going to be intercepted by Kelly Russell. And Scott Thompson's going to be hurt. We saw Michael Nash get hurt in the first game. He was actually the starter. Scott Thompson is hurt as well. He was the backup quarterback. So Morgan State's next drive is going to feature a third-string quarterback potentially. And speaking of quarterbacks, Travis Johnson is back in the starting lineup. This is a good game to, get that rust off. And doesn't look great early. He does end up taking a sack there. But on this next possession, we will go ahead and see Travis Johnson let it loose downfield and finds his receiver, the same man that made the sack earlier in the game, one of the sacks for Southeast Missouri State. He's also going to catch a 60-yard touchdown pass. He has been such a versatile player for the Red Hawks, and Travis Johnson recognizes the one-on-one, even beating the safety, and a 7-0 in favor of Southeast Missouri State. Jumping into the second quarter now. Redhawks trying to get another drive going. Johnson looking around. He's going to face some pressure last second and finds his tight end. Finds who he gets down at around the 5-yard line. Travis Johnson's been up and down, but if he can put together a good string of games, they are going to be a really dangerous football team. But eventually, some sacks do force them out of field goal range. They missed a short field goal, so it still remains 7-0. Very curious to see that, as Morgan State, they're hanging around, but that defense is just absolutely lethal. Paul Miller, he's going to get his 4th interception of the season, and absolutely no one is surprised that this defense is pitching a shutout right now. And not only that, the Redhawks are going to start their next drive on the 13-yard line. Johnson under center, going to try to go to work, try to finish the drive that defense put together. They do a little bit of shuffle pass, a screen, and the screen is going to be taken into the end zone. Touchdown, Southeast Missouri State. Make that 14-0, as that was just an absolutely beautiful job of setting up the screen. And now the Redhawks are starting to really show the talent on the depth charts in comparison to Morgan State. It's a 21-0 lead now. This is what we kind of expected a top 25 team to do against, frankly, one of the bottom feeders of the FCS. It hasn't been what they're looking for, but Morgan State's going to try to provide a spark as they try to ride Jonathan Silva in the punt return game, but he fumbles the football, and that's going to be recovered by the Redhawks again. 3rd turnover of the day for Morgan State. Few plays later, 3rd and 10. Johnson dropping back, gonna throw it down the left-hand side, and it's gonna be caught. Touchdown, Redhawks, as that is Lonnie Scott that is going to lace the touchdown pass. 28-0 is gonna be your score. Scott Thompson does return back into the game, tries to hand it off to Jonathan Silva, but at this point, Southeast Missouri State, they are simply all over it right now. And they're going to try to run. No, it's going to be a play action, actually. Thompson running for his right, but he finds a receiver. He's all by himself. He could actually score from this, and he actually is going to take it inside the 5-yard line. A shoestring tackle at the last second. Looks like Eric Davidson, the veteran at corner, is going to be able to bring him down. Man, Morgan State can score. That would be a victory in itself, at least given what the score is right now. As now, inside the 2-yard line, going to try to run it into the end zone, and they do with the fullback. That's going to be a touchdown for Morgan State. The Bears are finally on the board, but now it's Southeast Missouri State's time to shine. Lonnie Scott, he's going to make a catch in traffic here, and it's an absolutely phenomenal grab. Being double team, he had safety help as well. Still snuck that right in there. And now, deep in Morgan State territory, 3rd and 14, and Travis Johnson, he's going to get lit up like a Christmas tree there. But we also see some injuries start to pile up. Ken Trill, one of the starters on this young but lethal Southeast Missouri State defense, does end up getting hurt. He's actually going to be hurt for a couple of weeks. And that's tough because that might make him, a questionable play in terms of FCS playoffs tough. So hopefully, Southeast Missouri State, they can find a way to get a 1st-round bye so that they can buy themselves a little bit of extra time. And that was really one of the big things for the Southeast State Redhawks. Win the game, obviously. That's the biggest thing, but given the difference, make sure you guys are healthy too, because you're going to play better teams in the playoffs. Better than Morgan State. And just try to play some solid fundamental football. This right here, this is a hospital ball. But still, his team is out on the field. 2nd and 4. Johnson, he's got some time in the pocket. He's going to try to throw it up to Lonnie Scott, and he somehow comes down with it. I don't know how he pulled that catch in, but that was a 10 toes down move, and if I ever seen one, oh, look at that toe tap. You love to see it. And it's now the 4th red zone opportunity for the Southeast Missouri State Redhawks. Johnson under center. We got trips to the left, though, and it's going to be a play action. He's got time, too. Throwing it to the opposite side of the field and finds the end zone. Touchdown, Redhawks. 38-13 gonna be your score as Johnson is able to throw to the opposite side. Saw the one-on-one coverage and certainly exploited it. So Morgan State gets back out onto the field. They did score a couple of touchdowns in this game. How about Scott Thompson, though? Getting a huge run out there, man. Let's go, baby. Does get caught from behind, and you hate to see that. If that was like an Ikeda Woods or even like a Robert Johnson at Rice, he was going to be gone like a Girl in a Country song. But still a great run by the quarterback. Sets up a red zone opportunity. We'll see if they can actually finish that red zone chance as Thompson trying to buy as much time as possible, but throws it right into the hands of Paul Miller. Miller might take interception number 5 to the crib, and he does. 5th interception of the season for Paul Miller, and he takes it to the crib as well. So that makes the lead a 32-point lead. And Southeast Missouri State, they will eventually run away with this game, winning by a final score of 45-20. So before we go ahead and preview the conference championship games that will be featured in the next episode, which, by the way, first YouTube premiere of year number 3, since we are getting into postseason action, we'll check out some teams that already clinched their conference championships, as there is no conference championship game to play. Starting with the Big Ten Conference, we go to Eastern Kentucky, coming in number 16 in the country at 8-3 overall and a 6-2 record. They win the Big Ten Championship. It was a tie between them, Southeast Missouri State, who is number 14, and Eastern Illinois, who's number 13 in the nation right now. And Eastern Kentucky, they won against both those teams, so they won the tiebreaker because of that and will clinch their first appearance to the FCS playoffs. Now, for the Big 12 Conference, typically what will happen is that there is a conference championship game. And while that's still happening, the game's not going to determine who gets the automatic qualifier. As in the South Division, Texas Southern did win the South. They're 8-3 with a 7-1 conference record, but like I said several times throughout the year number 3, Texas Southern, they are under NCAA probation right now, and that's the case for the next couple of years. So they cannot participate in the FCS playoffs because of that. Therefore, the North Division champion, which Chattanooga was able to win pretty comfortably actually, they will actually get the automatic bid. At 7-4, 6-2 conference record, they do have a chance to kind of bolster their seeding a little bit if they can beat Texas Southern, but either way, they will have an FCS playoff spot when we announce that playoff bracket. As for the Big East, we see the Yale Bulldogs do indeed clinch a trip to the FCS playoffs for the very first time, as Yale 8-3, 6-1 conference record. They beat Brown. Also got a little bit of help with Penn losing. I'm not sure if Penn beat Yale or not, but either way, Yale will be making their first FCS playoff appearance as well. Might be one of the lower seats in the tournament, but when you get in there, you never know what can happen. So congratulations to Yale for making their very first FCS playoff appearance. Now we go out west here for the Mountain West Conference, and this should be no surprise. San Diego State does win the Mountain West Conference Championship this year for the 3rd time, so they will be making their 3rd FCS playoff appearance in this series. San Diego State, they're a team. They went out there, they took care of their business once again, undefeated in the regular season, and should have a top 8 seed to automatically move on to the 2nd round of the FCS playoffs. As for North Dakota State, same thing happening for them, as the Bison are the champions of the Pac-10. They had to fend off teams like Sacramento State, Montana and Weber State were quality teams this year as well. Their only loss this year was to Montana State, and Montana State, they didn't have the same quality year that we expected after they had that great win. But North Dakota State, they are going to be back in the FCS playoffs once again with a 1st round bye to automatically advance to the 2nd round. Now the West Conference that was decided was Utah State. We saw Utah State take care of business against New Mexico State here, as we go ahead and see this team go to work. Utah State, they are champions of the Acc Conference. They will be back in the FCS playoffs. Beating New Mexico State was the difference, as they also took care of business against Idaho, who was tied for first place here in the Acc Conference. So with that, we still have a few games that are going to determine the final automatic qualifier spots here for the FCS playoffs. We start with the ACC Conference Championship in the next episode. They will be the first game that will be played, and New Hampshire, number 1 team in the nation, 11-0, boasting that 11-game winning streak. Meanwhile, they play up against Delaware, who makes their second appearance in the ACC Championship. They made it back in year number 1 when they made their only FCS playoff appearance. Delaware, however, on a 2-game losing streak, and they're going to have to bring it with everything they got if they want to pull the upset against the number 1 team in the nation. New Hampshire, should they be able to win this game, that would solidify their number 1 seed, and that will give them the easiest path to the FCS National Championship. Delaware, it's win or lose. You know, if you win this game, you go to the FCS playoffs. If not, then your season is going to be over and ending on a 3-game losing streak. So after the ACC Conference Championship, we will have the SEC Championship game after that. We'll have Sam Houston State taking on Georgia Southern here. Georgia Southern, 10-1 overall. They're a number 6 seed. They have a 9-game winning streak right now. They're feeling really good about themselves. That being said, Sam Houston State, the Cardiac Cats. It's going to be interesting to see which team shows up for Sam Houston State. We've seen some head-scratching results, but we've seen Sam Houston State play incredibly well. So if they can bring their A game, they have a chance to beat Georgia Southern. But for Sam Houston State, they're currently unranked, so it looks like they will need to win this game if they want to go to the FCS playoffs for the first time. As for Georgia Southern, what's at stake for them is a top 8 bye. Winning this game will solidify a first-round bye for the Georgia Southern Eagles. However, losing this game, they should still make the playoffs, but then they'll be finding out on Selection Sunday if they get a chance to compete for that national championship still or not. So that will then take us to the game of the week, the Conference USA Championship game. Rice has been on fire. Dating back to last season, they have a 12-game winning streak. They're number 4 in the country, and they will be taking on an Eastern Carolina squad who's number 8. They are riding a 7-game winning streak. This was a team that I really thought that, hey, Eastern Carolina, they might not make the playoffs this year, but they righted the ship. They're right where they need to be, and whoever wins this game not only gets the automatic bid for Conference USA, but in addition, will automatically get themselves a first-round bye. As for both teams, should they lose this game, both teams should still make the FCS playoffs. However, that being said, what would end up happening is they would have to go through the first round most likely. So definitely a game that I'm excited for, but I think Eastern Carolina is going to be favorite in this game, at least initially. So like I said, Texas Southern is not eligible to make it to the FCS playoffs, and because of that, we won't show gameplay for this particular game, since we know that Chattanooga is going to get the AQ no matter what. But we will check out the box score for it before we get into the final conference championship that will be shown here in that conference championship episode. We got Kent State taking on Central Michigan in the MAC championship. Almost was considered one of those what's the word, the game of the week. Wow, that was a major brain fart right there. But that being said, two teams that are very talented. Central Michigan, they're 10-1 with a 5-game winning streak, while Kent State is riding a 6-game winning streak into this conference championship game. And it's the same set of circumstances that we did see when it comes to, okay, for the Conference USA game, whoever wins automatically gets a first-round bye. And it's the same scenario here. Whoever wins this game will likely get a first-round bye to go into the FCS playoffs, so they have one less game to worry about. Meanwhile, both teams, regardless of what happens, as long as it's not a blowout, both teams should also make the playoffs, but it's definitely still a game to watch. So that will wrap things up here for today's episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06. Next episode, we will look at all 5 conference championship games, whether it's a box score or it's actual gameplay. I'm really excited about this episode as we are now starting up postseason action, which means we are officially right around the corner from seeing that FCS playoff bracket revealed. So I hope you guys are excited for postseason action. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me, hit that subscribe button as well. If you do happen to be brand new to the channel, this is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.